Hello, I'm Bernard Hickey from interest.co.nz and welcome to today's investing report. We're going to do something slightly different today. We're going to talk about world food prices and the current world food crisis caused by high prices and falling supplies. The United Nations chief Ban Ki-moon came out with a very unusual call last night. He called on rich nations to drop farming subsidies and trade barriers. This is at a crisis summit on world food. The World Bank reckons higher food prices will push 100 million people into hunger in the coming year. Mr. Ban reckons dealing with the food crisis could cost $20 billion and he thinks food supply needs to double by 2030 to solve this world hunger problem. Surprisingly, for a UN chief, he's targeted subsidies and tariffs. This has been around for a long time, but it's very interesting that he's weighed into the mix. Because the European Union, for example, spends $62 billion a year on its Common Agricultural Policy, or CAP as it's known. And the US spends billions more on subsidies for its farmers and also on tariffs. Mr. Ban criticised others such as China and Japan, who also restricted exports of things like rice. And because of this, Japan has agreed to re-export 300,000 tonnes of its imported rice. Elsewhere, Mr. Ban criticised the shift in land use and food use into biofuels. Now, Europe wants to get 10% of its auto fuel needs from crops by 2020, and the United States plans to use a quarter of its maize crop for biofuels by 2022. Even in New Zealand, which is a bastion of free trade, the Green Party has asked Fonterra to charge lower prices for milk to people in New Zealand than overseas. Essentially, this is a subsidy. The lesson from all of this is that subsidies and tariffs stop rich countries buying food from poor countries. It also raises the price of food globally. Subsidies incentivize the wrong type of production. They cause starvation and poverty, and they need to be dropped. Effectively, the rich are protecting their farmers, but at the expense of poor people in countries overseas who essentially are starving, and it keeps prices high for all. I believe that European bureaucrats behind the Common Agricultural Policy and US food lobbyists and lawmakers are committing, by remote control, a slow, insidious form of genocide. I'm Bernard Hickey for interest.co.nz with something different in our investing report.